Hello, this is Mike Pucciarelli, and this webinar will be about the photographs I selected, the files I selected from the virtual equipment demo of the black Plexiglass using props, and I selected the best ones. So we're first going to start with the last photograph, and then we're going to work the next to last. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Camera Raw. We're going to come over here. We're going to sync the white balance. And then I'm going to tone down the highlights, uproad the shadows, or I'll experiment with the highlights. I'm going to work with the clarity. I'm going to work with the texture. I like to have a clarity between 5 and 7, texture between 5 and 7. So what I'm trying to do with the basic tab is, I'm trying to get the highlights to where I want them. Now for the curve tab, I just want to try to make it like an S. For the detail tab, I want to get sharpening over 140 or greater. Now for other work like portraits, you use 120 and landscape, but anything non-portrait related, I like to use at least 140. For the noise reduction, let's use 50. The color noise, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom. So to make sure I don't use too much where you see like spots. That's for the detail tab. I'm going to skip over to color mixer tab. I'm going to skip over to color grading tab. I'll go to the optics. I'm going to go remove chromatic aberration and use profile corrections. In the geometry, I just click the A to make it straight. Then I click done. I'm going to select this file and this file. And I'm just going to go open in Camera Raw. I'm going to select A. I'm going to do, sync settings, because now the settings of this file are identical to this file. Then I'm going to come over here with this file. I'm going to open up in Camera Raw. I'm going to sync out the white balance. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to tone down the highlights, but I'm trying to update the shadows. Sometimes I like to zero out the highlights completely or plus out the shadows completely. All depends, there's many ways that. Okay, so I'm going to texture, I'm going to do between 5 to 7. Try to form like an S curve. For the detail, for the sharpening, I want to use at least 140. For noise reduction, I want to use, 50. And now for the, basically, I want to just see if I can go to 100. I'll just have it at 42. Go back to fit and view. I'm going to skip over the color mixer. I'm going to skip over the color grading. Now, for the optics, I want to make sure I check this. I want to make sure also I check this. And this shows that I'm using the camera 50 millimeters. It's a prime lens. It's great for product photography. It's also great for anything. And it's a prime lens. I've used this lens for many things. The geometry, I like to click A. There's no, problems. Now the effects, I'm not going to touch them in the editing. What you want to do is you want to adjust this. We want to look at this, but don't worry about the numbers. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to click done. I'm going to select this file, and I'm going to select this file, and I'm going to go Camera Raw. I'm going to make sure I have this file selected, then do Control A, then do Sync Settings. I'm going to uncheck color mixer. I'm going to uncheck color grading. And all these now have the same, settings. Now, I'm going to use this as a grade card because this file has the same settings, aperture readings, and f-stops as this file. So I'm going to open in Camera Raw. The only thing I want to do with this one is I just want to sync the whites, and then I'm going to tone down the highlights. I'm going to tone up I may just turn down the exposure just a little. I think I'll just leave it at 75. Try to make like an S curve, make more contrast. Now, about the S curve, I just touch this. I don't touch the sliders here. I just make an S curve. Now for the detail, I want to use sharpening of 140 or greater. Noise reduction, I just want to use 50. Color noise reduction, or I want to just put in, suppose I were just I think I'll use 40, 44. I'm going to skip over the color mixer. I'm going to skip over the color grading. I'm going to check remove chromatic aberration. I'm going to check use profile lens. Again, this is the lens, the 50-meter prime lens, the camera make. Not going to worry about distortion here, but I am going to look at this. So no, problems are found when I click on this. Now, if you look over here, I want to put like a slight vignette around. And there's more space over here than here. So I might want to crop this out in Photoshop or something. So I want people to look at this. So I want to try to form like a nice, vignette frame in addition to another frame in Photoshop. But I'm doing it part of it here. And then I'm going to click done. Then I'm going to click on this file. I'm going to do open in Camera Raw. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to do select A. I'm going to do this. Sync settings. I'm going to uncheck color mixer, color grading. I'm going to have everything else checked. Okay. Maybe a little too powerful vignette, but so I'm going to open up this file. I'm going to open up Camera Raw. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to sync the white balance. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some detail to the highlights. I'm going to try to use the same number in the opposite direction, like 89. So they're even. I'm going to increase the texture by 5 to 7, increase the clarity by 5 to 7. I'm going to try to form like an S over here. For the detail, I'm going to use sharpening of 104, at least 140. I'm going to just zoom in for the, the color noise reduction. I'm trying to find what looks best to my eyes, so I'll use about 50. I'm going to skip over the color mixer. I'm going to skip over the color grading. The optics, I'm going to check off remove chromatic aberration, use profile corrections. Canon, this is a lens profile, the camera, the type of camera, the lens is right here. Canon EF 50 millimeters, aperture 1.8. It's a great camera. I'm going to see if I could just, oh, good. But now, see, I just selected EA. This corrects a lot of distortion problems. Now the effects, I think I just want to do a slight vignette to take out that thing over here. I want to try to make both of these even. There's a way to correct this all in Photoshop too, but we'll talk about that later. So now I just want to click on done. So now what I want to do is select them both. No. I'm going to go open in Camera Raw. I'm going to select A. I'm going to just, open in Adobe Camera Raw, not Photoshop. I open Adobe Camera Raw. I'm going to select this file. I'm going to do Control A. I'm going to do Sync Settings. I'm going to do OK. I'm going to click Done. So that concludes the Adobe Photoshop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this all into Photoshop. I'll do a new screen share very soon. So when now you want to just click, open with Photoshop. So you may or may not see my screen. I'll do a new screen share. I'm going to, I'm going to use the control key. I'm going to select 3 files. I'm going to say, open with Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to select all. Now I'm going to do a new screen share with, now we're going to go into Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to make my screen smaller. I'm going to run my actions. I'm going to go to button mode, where the first action I'm going to do is I'm going to make a background copy of the layer, and then I'm going to run, image auto tone, image auto contrast, and image auto color. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to do the same thing with this image. I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here. So I just, so now we come over here and a background copy. And if you look at, the history of the actions, I just ran the auto tone, the auto contrast, and the auto color. Now we're going to run another action where I'm going to save it, where I'm just going to save it where I'm going to save on my computer. I'm just going to say, tilt, watch. So I'm going to do the same thing. Photoshop, remember the last time where you saved it. Flat, watch. I'm going to save it as, I'm going to save on my computer. I'm going to save bottle red backgrounds. Now I'm going to save this one. I'm going to say this is another name, flat watch V2. This should be, yeah, I gave it the wrong name, but that's fine. Names can be confusing, yes, but this is the real flat watch and this is the not real flat watch. So now what I want to do is I want to run more actions. Next action we're going to run is we're going to run this action. I'm going to run this action. And I'll explain this action. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the black signature because the white appears better. I'm going to move the black signature, the white signature over here. I'm going to invert this by doing Control or Command I. I'm going to invert this by doing Control or Command I. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be painting okay, I'm trying to activate my brush. Make sure my brush mode is at normal at past the 100. So what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to burn a Lumini blend mode. Now I'm gonna dodge out of screen blend mode. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna use the block dropper to make it black. I'm also gonna do a new layer where I use the mix a hearing brush. Use a mixing healing brush, or it's the mixture brush. Make sure you're on clean brush. I'll try to put more, Now, obviously, we have a lot of blank space here. So what I'm going to do, and I'm also going to crop a lot of blank space out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. I'm going to run more action where I'm going to work on now. I'm going to run action for the frames. And I'm going to talk about all my actions after I'm done with all the photographs. Where now we're going to run, I ran this action. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down there we go. So now I'm going to get rid of the black signature. I'm going to move my I'll just put it over there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert the layer mask by doing Control Command I, invert the layer mask by doing Control Command I. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my brush. Could also use the Wacom pen tool. I like to use both. And my brush mode is normal, past the 100%. Control Z. Let's see if I can make my brush smaller. Should use a soft round brush. Now I'm going to I'm painting on a black layer mask with white. I painted a little too much. I'm going to just press the X key. Skim the edges. I'm going to just put the XP back. I'm going to choose the XP. I'm going to push the XP for white. Now I use a small brush. I'm clicking a layer. I'm also going to just make this more black. I'm also going to put more texture, like a little more texture there. Now what I want to do, I'm going to try to put a vignetting. Control, I got to make that better. Control D. So vignetting, I like to sometimes do is this. Gradient map. And I want to do this. -90. Now, let's play around with the blend mode. Luminosity. See? Looks pleasing to the eyes, but now I just want to lower the opacity. Try to make it look natural. And that's, with the blend mode, without. Now I can use a gradient. Now I just want to come back over here and, actions. Now. Basically, I've been using, and I'll explain the actions later, how I group them. Now I'm going to come over here and do, the frame. Save your work. Okay, this is where we got some work to do. We got to put the background layer where it should be. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can go into the filter and try to like raw filter. It's too noticeable. So I'm going to delete the black signature. I'm going to move my other signature to a better position. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to do Control Command I. Control Command I. Now what I'm going to do is something a little different with this photograph. I'm going to get the brush. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to copy I'm going to make a big brush. Make sure I'm at brush mode, normal, opacity 100, and I'm burning luminosity blend mode. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop part of this out. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm trying to make this black. But now what I want to do is this. I want to just regular Mark T. I'm going to select this out. So now what I want to do is I want to do the gradient. But now I just want to change it to, negative. Okay. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put, if I can try a blend mode. I'll try and make it look natural. But now what I want to do is I want to move this up because I want to crop this part out because this is more important than this. It's how you should do. I'm also going to crop some of this out too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop this out. I'm going to move this over. So now what I'm going to try to do is brand new layer. I'm going to try to use the mixer brush. I'm going to just chuck that. Actually, I'm going to do this. Nope. Control D. I'm going to come over here. I'm making a selection. I made it from the mask. Now I'm just going to do Control J. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to blur. So basically, I'm going to say convert to smart object. I'm going to just I'm going to put in the filter Gaussian blur. I'm going to just see if I can do normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck this. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to go to my history. I'm going to come over here. There. So what I want to do is I just want to put a gradient map. So, I'm going to chuck this. I'm going to chuck this. I'm going to chuck this layer, the trash. What I like to do is this. There we go. And now I'm just going to do it over here. There. I'm going to do it again. Do marquee. God, it's not working right. I'm just going to do the marquee. Now what I want to do, that's too heavy. So now what I want to do is a color. So now I want to play with the blend modes. What I could do, just use luminosity, and the whole point of this is to make this look like a natural blend. Also disable this, but I didn't. Yeah, I did. Okay, never mind. I'm going to do another curves adjustment. I want to see. I'm going to disable this. All right, doesn't look completely natural though, but darn it. So I want to come down over here. I go to my actions and I want to run and I just want to run my frame. Gotta find my frame action. Here we go. Okay. Save my work. So again, I do Control-I, Control-Command-I to invert the layer mask, Control-Command-I to convert the layer mask. So I just burned at the luminosity blend mode. Now I'm going to do dodge at a screen blend mode. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, a blank layer. I'm going to get the mixer brush, make sure that it's at clean brush. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to throw that in the trash. So now I just want to another way to where I want to make this black automatically. Okay. Okay. Now let's get back to mixer brush. Never mind. I'm going to just chuck this layer. My goal is to make this black quickly. Now I'm going to see if I could just, I want a reflection. I know it's not completely shiny, but sometimes I just get out the clone book. Oops. Or I could throw the black layer. What I want to try to do is the blank layer. I want to make sure that when I do this, we sample all layers. I'm going to chuck on that. Man, okay. 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 All right. I'm just using content aware fill. For that. And, so it's edit content aware fill. When you make a selection, I'll be not grayed out. God darn it. It's okay. So now what I want to do is go to that action group that I like with the, so now I just want to, before I do the frame, God, we got a lot of space here. So what I want to do, wait a minute, I want to do the crop. When I crop this, I want to crop this. I want to crop this, just get some regular negative space out. So, okay. So now I just want to run the frame. Okay. So now I just want to talk about the actions that I use. I'm going to get out of button mode. I'm going to click out of this. Now we're going to talk about the actions where. First action I did was this. I duplicate the background layer and I ran all these auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color. And then the dot signature, I call this action and I burn with the, I burn with the luminosity, I dodge with the screen, and I call the black signature, I call the white signature, I delete the black signature layer. I also have a curves adjustment layer for contrast. Then I go to my, and then I run another set of actions where I do the dust and scratches filter, I do the speckle filter, I do the sharpen high pass, and I do the speckle, there's no prompt, and then I do the dust and scratches, I have the set to 1.3. Now, the many actions I can use for a third action. I can use, the high pass. I have that, set at 10, or I can set it. And then I could do, like if I do filter, sharpen, I do unsharp mask. After I do that, when I do edit, it'll say fade, whatever sharp mask, and I set the blend mode to luminosity. Usually I have it 100%. It's great for contrast. So there's many ways, I can use the filters, and I have here like with the fade, unsharp mask. If I get a fade, it'll say whatever with the last filter you use. And then we do the frame where, not this one. This action is grouped. It calls this action, which is defined somewhere else. And it calls it condition where if the picture mode is on landscape, the pixels, like for instance, you'll get width, because the width is longer, this will be 4,000. If the height is longer, this will be 4,000. And I have a resample automatic, and I have resolutions 300 pixels per inch. I have many actions, and I'm always updating my actions. So I'm at Pecan, where here's a condition. If the current document is landscaped, do this. If not, do that. And I have these actions. I have here, big height means the height is 4,000. And then I have big width where the width is 4,000, and it's a condition. And, my actions are grouped where I have the action defined, but I have it called somewhere else. Now, the last action I want to do is the export. So I'm gonna now switch into button mode. Now I'm just gonna save it where you can adjust the settings here, make sure that JPEG optimized, and since if you're posting to web, check off convert the sRGB. If you're gonna be pasting this in another Photoshop program, do not check this off. So it all depends on how you're using this program. And then I'm just gonna put it in, I gotta find the correct folder, and I will do that. Oops. This is a JPEG. This is the first JPEG we're gonna do. So actually, this is really the bottle, and this, 100, just gonna remember the settings, okay? JPEG, I can also do a preset, but I don't. I'm gonna have checked off because I will post to the web. And it shows the settings that the height is 4,000. So I'm just gonna save it. But only we're gonna say labeled bottle. So come over here on the same thing. I know this is not perfect, but Photoshop can be tricky to use. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go actions, actions. I'm going to come over here. Quality 100, settings the same, JPEG, convert to sRGB. This time the height is 4,000 since it's the longest and the height is longer than the width. I'm going to click save. And this is the background bottle with the red backgrounds. Then I'm going to come over here. This is the flat watch where, you know, I have JPEG, quality 100, convert the sRGB because I will post this on the web. I'm not going to post this. Do not check this. Like if you're going to copy and paste another Photoshop. The width, because it's longer, it's 4,000. The width is longer than the height. Now the height for longest, it'd be 4,000. This would be a different number. Then I click save. And always save your work. Thank you for listening to this webinar. Photoshop can be challenging even for the most experienced instructors. So Photoshop takes time to learn, and we're always having communication problems with the internet, but we just do the best we can. So this is Mike Pucciarelli of Still Life Photography of Michael Pucciarelli. I have many updates on my Still Life Photography and my Photoshop and other tools I use like light painting. I have sections on the white Plex table, the black Plex table, the Photoshop. I said light painting equipment and software. So feel free to visit my channel, Still Life YouTube channel of Michael Pucciarelli. Maybe consider, liking and subscribing. Thank you for letting me give this webinar.